70% of the guitar stuff on that record doesn't sound like guitar. It sounds like a keyboard or some other weird instrument.
In the complex world of progressive rock and technical mastery, few guitarists commanded as much respect for pure musical innovation as Alex Lifson. The Rush mastermind who helped define progressive rock for over 4 decades wasn't just a virtuoso who seamlessly blended classical influences, jazz fusion, and hard rock into groundbreaking compositions. He was also a perfectionist with impossibly high standards who harbored serious contempt for guitarists he saw as musically lazy, technically limited, and fundamentally opposed to everything he believed guitar playing should represent. Behind the intricate arrangements and atmospheric soundscapes lurked a classically influenced musician who viewed guitar as a constantly evolving art form requiring discipline, innovation, and relentless pursuit of musical advancement. Lifeson didn't just dislike certain approaches to guitar playing, he actively despised what he saw as deliberate primitivism and anti-intellectual attitudes that held back rock music's artistic potential. Welcome to another explosive episode of Offstage Tales, where we expose the hidden opinions of prog rock's most innovative guitarist. Today, we're revealing the shocking truth about the 6 guitarists who reportedly made Alex Lifson's sophisticated sensibilities recoil in disgust. The Canadian legend who gave us masterpieces like Tom Sawyer and Free Will had some very strong opinions about musical mediocrity, and his assessments were as precise as his legendary guitar solos were technically brilliant. 6. Kurt Cobain. Coming in at number 6 on our countdown is perhaps the most shocking revelation about progressive rock versus grunge ideology.
Years and years I roamed, I gazed and stared.
Kurt Cobain, the Nirvana frontman who became the reluctant voice of Generation X, reportedly became one of Alex Lifeson's most frustrating targets through what the Rush guitarist saw as the deliberate celebration of musical ignorance and anti-technical rebellion.
Playability, all of those things that are just a little more acute,
The animosity allegedly began in the early 1990s when grunge was exploding as a reaction against 1980s technical excess. According to music journalist Michael Azerrad, Lifeson reportedly told fellow musicians, "Kurt represents everything wrong with rock's anti-intellectual movement. He's made musical incompetence into a virtue and convinced a generation that learning your instrument is somehow selling out." What particularly bothered Lifeson was Cobain's approach to guitar playing and musical philosophy. While Lifeson had spent decades perfecting complex arrangements, innovative chord progressions, and sophisticated lead techniques, Cobain was achieving massive success with what Lifeson reportedly called 3-chord therapy sessions, deliberately simple songs that rejected technical advancement in favor of raw, emotional expression. The tension reportedly came to a head during a 1993 music industry gathering where grunge's dominance was being celebrated while progressive rock was being dismissed as outdated. Industry witnesses claim Lifeson was visibly frustrated, allegedly telling colleagues, "They're celebrating the death of musical ambition and calling it authenticity." For Lifeson, Cobain apparently represented the ultimate regression in guitar playing, turning genuine musical rebellion into what he allegedly called willful ignorance disguised as artistic integrity. 5. The edge landing at number 5 is the ultimate clash between guitar purists and atmospheric sound architects.
Oh my love, blindness.
The Edge, U2's legendary guitarist known for his ethereal, effects-heavy approach to rock music, reportedly became a source of deep frustration for Alex Lifson.
And it was the same thing with this. And then COVID hit, and now we're all sort of in a different mental space.
Who saw the Edge's reliance on technology as everything wrong with modern guitar playing's abandonment of pure technical skill. The conflict allegedly began in the 1980s when both guitarists were defining different approaches to rock innovation. According to Guitar Player magazine editor Jas Obrecht, Lifeson reportedly told session musicians, "The Edge hides behind effects pedals and studio tricks instead of actually learning to play guitar properly. Real innovation comes from technique and composition, not from how many delay units you can chain together." What infuriated Lifeson was the Edge's approach to guitar heroics and musical development. While Lifeson was creating complex, technically demanding compositions through years of classical study and progressive experimentation, the Edge was achieving massive success with what Lifeson reportedly called atmospheric noodling. Repetitive patterns processed through elaborate effects chains that disguised fundamental technical limitations. The animosity reportedly reached its peak during a guitar clinic where both players were featured. Industry witnesses claim Lifeson made pointed comments about guitarists who've confused sound design with actual playing, leading to uncomfortable tension when the Edge's segment focused entirely on effects demonstrations rather than pure guitar technique. For Lifeson, the Edge apparently represented the triumph of technology over talent, turning genuine guitar mastery into what he allegedly called button pushing for people who don't want to practice scales. 4. Malcolm Young. Crashing in at number 4 is the ultimate philosophical warfare between progressive innovation and deliberate musical conservatism. Malcolm Young, AC/DC's rhythm guitar powerhouse and keeper of simple rock traditions, reportedly drove Alex Lifson to absolute frustration through what the Rush guitarist saw as willful rejection of musical evolution and artistic growth.
Just keep up with the drums, then that was enough, rather than screaming loud amps coming off both sides of the stage.
The hatred allegedly began in the mid-1970s when both guitarists were establishing their approaches to rock music. According to rock journalist Murray Engelhart, Lifeson reportedly told fellow musicians, "Malcolm's made musical limitation into a bloody religion. He's proud of playing the same 3 chords for 30 years when guitar playing should be about constant growth and exploration." What particularly galled Lifeson was Young's philosophy of deliberate simplicity and anti-progression. While Lifeson was incorporating jazz fusion, classical elements, and complex time signatures into rock music, AC/DC was achieving massive success with what Lifeson reportedly called caveman rock, deliberately primitive compositions that rejected any musical advancement or technical development. The tension reportedly exploded during a 1980s industry awards ceremony where AC/DC's straightforward approach was celebrated as authentic rock. Industry witnesses claim Lifeson was visibly disgusted, allegedly telling his manager, "They're celebrating musical stagnation and calling it purity." Real rock should push boundaries, not build walls around them. For Lifeson, Malcolm Young apparently represented everything anti-intellectual about rock culture, turning musical ignorance into what he allegedly called a badge of honor for people afraid of artistic challenge. 3. Johnny Ramone. Sliding into number 3 is perhaps the most ideologically opposed feud on our list.
I like you in a dream. I never let you go.
Johnny Ramone, the Ramones' rhythm guitar machine and punk rock pioneer, reportedly became Alex Lifeson's most despised guitarist.
That's not traditional guitar-like. On Stygian Waves, I let that go a little bit. There's a little more of traditional guitar.
Through what the Rush legend saw as the celebration of musical ignorance and the deliberate destruction of everything guitar playing could achieve through discipline and education. The animosity allegedly began in the mid-1970s when punk was emerging as a reaction against progressive rock's complexity. According to punk historian Legs McNeil, Lifeson reportedly told Canadian music journalists, "Johnny's turned musical incompetence into a movement. He's proud of not knowing how to play properly when guitar should be about constantly learning and pushing technical boundaries." What infuriated Lifeson was Ramone's entire philosophy of anti-musicianship and deliberate amateurism. While Lifeson was incorporating classical training, jazz influences, and sophisticated compositional techniques into rock music, the Ramones were achieving cult status with what Lifeson reportedly called musical vandalism, 3-chord punk anthems that deliberately rejected any technical advancement or artistic sophistication. The conflict reportedly came to a head during a 1977 music industry conference where punk's anti-establishment message was being discussed. Industry witnesses claim Lifeson made cutting remarks about musicians who've confused rebellion with incompetence, leading to tension when Ramone's approach was praised as authentic rock expression. The rivalry represented the fundamental split between musical education and punk anti-establishment philosophy. For Lifeson, Johnny Ramone apparently embodied everything destructive about rock's anti-intellectual movement, turning genuine artistic rebellion into what he allegedly called organized musical ignorance. 2. Slash burning into number 2 is the ultimate clash between progressive innovation and blues rock traditionalism that defined 1980s guitar culture. Slash, Guns N' Roses' iconic top hat-wearing guitarist, reportedly became Alex Lifson's most frustrating rival through what the Rush legend saw as the deliberate rejection of musical evolution in favor of backward-looking nostalgia and blues cliches. The feud allegedly began when Guns N' Roses exploded onto the scene in the late 1980s with their retro approach to hard rock. According to Guitar World editor Brad Talinsky, Lifeson reportedly told session musicians, "Slash is playing the same blues licks that were tired 20 years ago, and everyone calls him innovative." Real guitar evolution means moving forward, not retreating into classic rock museum pieces. What particularly bothered Lifeson was Slash's approach to guitar heroics and musical development. While Lifeson had spent decades pushing rock guitar into uncharted territory through progressive compositions, odd time signatures, and fusion influences, Slash was achieving massive success with what Lifeson reportedly called blues rock karaoke, recycled pentatonic patterns that prioritized familiar comfort over genuine artistic advancement. The animosity reportedly reached its peak during a 1988 Guitar Magazine interview where Slash dismissed progressive rock as pretentious wankery. Industry sources claim Lifeson was furious, allegedly responding that some guitarists prefer nostalgia to innovation because learning new things requires actual effort. For Lifeson, Slash apparently represented everything regressive about 1980s guitar culture, turning genuine musical evolution into what he allegedly called comfort food for people afraid of artistic challenge. 1. Angus Young. Taking the top spot in our countdown is the ultimate betrayal that shattered Alex Lifeson's faith in guitar playing's artistic potential. Angus Young, AC/DC's schoolboy uniformed lead guitarist and master of deliberate musical limitation, reportedly became Lifeson's most hated guitarist.
Look, you get a lot of rumors out there. A lot of people think Brian was fired and whatnot,
Through what the Rush legend saw as the cynical transformation of technical restriction into performance art that made a mockery of serious musical development. The hatred allegedly began in the 1970s when both guitarists were establishing their approaches to rock lead playing. According to rock journalist Clinton Walker, Lifeson reportedly told fellow musicians, "Angus has turned musical limitation into a bloody circus act. He's made ignorance entertaining and convinced audiences that refusing to grow as a musician is somehow more authentic than actually developing your craft." The final breaking point allegedly came when Young publicly dismissed progressive rock as music for people who think too much. Industry insiders claim Lifeson felt personally betrayed, allegedly telling confidants, "Angus has made a career out of celebrating everything wrong with rock guitar. He's turned musical stagnation into entertainment for people who are afraid of artistic challenge." For Lifeson, Young apparently represented the ultimate corruption of guitar's potential, turning genuine artistry into what he allegedly called anti-intellectual performance art. And there you have it, the 6 guitarists who made Alex Lifeson's progressive blood boil. Which anti-intellectual betrayal shocked you most? Drop your thoughts below, smash that like button, and subscribe for more explosive guitar rivalries.